Welcome to Walking with J.Beau. On this later in the evening walk than normal. It is 56 degrees, partly cloudy. See some stars up there and some clouds. And I didn't go for a walk earlier because I got sidetracked. So, going for a walk tonight. This is the first night where I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt. And not only am I wearing a long sleeve shirt, but I have a shirt that's too big, a size bigger than I normally wear, to wear on top of the long sleeve. That can only mean one thing, that we are now getting into the territory of having cooler fall weather. It was about 74 degrees today, which was nice. And we had some serious rain with some downpours, which we've not had in weeks. Wasn't enough to solve any drought problems. But it was welcomed. And I'm sure some animals got some of what they needed out of it, considering things are pretty dire right now. I've been noticing things like dead insects, caterpillars. They're just curling up and dying. I don't have any water. I saw a caterpillar today stretched out trying to get a drop of water off a leaf, only to keel over and die. Swear to God, I saw that today. So anyways, don't take things for granted, especially water, okay? Enjoy the water you have. Especially if you're like in Lewiston, Maine, and Auburn, Maine, where the water here is actually clean and you can drink it without worrying. I subscribe to the email lists for the city of Lewiston, and they send water test results as a matter of transparency with the public. So anyways, the water here tastes good. When you drink the water, it tastes like it's supposed to, I guess is my point. And bottled water actually tastes worse, if that makes sense, because it's clean water here. And I can tell it's a plastic bottle with bottled water. So anyway, President Trump is doing really good right now. Still got to get gas prices down. They're going up again. It's $3.22 a gallon here. It was down to $2.92. So it's going back up. 20 cents a gallon. It's not supposed to happen. So it's making me wonder if people are price gouging in the industry. Trump said their team would be watching that, but they have so much to do, it makes you wonder. Anyways, there it is right there, 321 and 9/10, which is 322. I know everybody gets fooled by the 9/10 and they think they're only paying 311. Right? It's 312. 322. It's 312 if you have a card membership with Cumberland Farms. So anyway, what's on my mind tonight? Well, obviously we had a terrible mass shooting today in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Don't be surprised if the entire walk tonight is about that. Because, oh, watch this car. Thanks. Thank you. So we have that mass shooting that happened in Minneapolis. Really awful, terrible thing. You know, this country is so polarized right now. And I'm guilty of that. I am. I know I am. But I feel like it's necessary. You know what I'm saying? I don't really know how to put that. I recognize the danger of what the left is doing. And today's mass shooting exemplifies that. It does. Turns out the shooter some guy named Robin, whose name used to be Robert. They had it legally changed as a minor. His parents let him come out as trans. Okay? He's now 23. Now, I've heard all sides of this argument. Okay? Trans people are mentally ill. They should not be allowed to have guns. I've heard that argument. I've heard the other argument where people just say outright guns should be banned and this won't be an issue. They banned guns in Australia. They banned guns in New Zealand. They took everything away from Canadians except sporting rifles, which are basically just bolt-action rifles. For a while, they were allowed to have, and I really hate that word, they were allowed by the government to have a Ruger PC-9 carbine in 9mm, and I guess now they can't have those. So they took some, then they took some more, and then they took some more, and now all you got left is a bolt-action rifle, and you can only have 4, maybe 5 rounds if you're lucky. And you have to be licensed, and you can't buy the ammo unless you are licensed. So that's what they want to do here. So you have to be very careful, okay? And the reason why I'm mentioning this is how they took the guns away in Canada. This is how they took the guns away in Australia. This is how they took the guns away in New Zealand. I'm going to turn the camera around. This is very important stuff, guys. First of all, I want to thank you for being here with me. I really appreciate it. But this is what they did in those countries to take firearms from people. They took advantage of a mass shooting, politicized it, made excuses to say it was okay for everybody's safety. to take the guns away. The conservatives are white supremacists. They're racist. They're dangerous. They always have this gun violent cult that they belong to. And that's the rhetoric they used, okay? That's what happened in Australia. So, this is very important what I'm going to say now. And I know some of you listening are not going to agree with me. I'm seeing a lot of Republicans online, a lot of them, saying people that wear a dress should not have guns. People that have mental illness should not have guns. That is a knee-jerk reaction, and you're not going to like it when I say this, but it's true if you think about it. This is a flip-flop, exact hypocritical flip-flop of what Democrats do. Democrats say the same thing as an excuse to take your guns. If guns weren't legal, these people wouldn't be killed. We need to ban the guns. So now we got people saying, oh, people with mental illness shouldn't have guns. Well, the last time I checked, mental illness does not equate to being violent. Somebody that is anorexic has an eating disorder, a mental disorder, a mental illness. Do they have their guns taken too? You know? They've never shown themselves to be violent. They hate themselves. Sometimes they're suicidal, depressed. They just had a 72-hour waiting period put in place in Maine because people are depressed and they buy a gun and want to kill themselves. They have mental issues. So the Democrat solution was a 3-day waiting period, which every Republican I've talked to is completely against. Democrats here in Maine wanted to pass red flag laws. Democrats love red flag laws. Ooh, we can have an excuse to take people's guns away because they have a mental illness. Okay? We cannot talk like they do. Whether you like it or not, the Second Amendment applies to everybody in the country, whether they wear a dress or not. Okay? The problem is far left extremism. These people have been radicalized by Democrats, neo-Marxist gender ideologies, self-ID, DEI, woke politics. So how are we going to fix anything if Republicans turn into the party of woke on the opposite flip side of that? Right now, Republicans are unwittingly supporting red flag laws. Trans people should not have guns. You sound like Democrats, okay? And that's the truth. And I know you don't want to hear it, but that's a fact. Now, Maine has a yellow flag law, which I support. I do not support red flag laws. A yellow flag law is everybody has a right to own a firearm. If for some reason they indicate that they may be a harm to themselves or other people, law enforcement and or a psychiatrist, therapist, professional psychiatric person can petition a judge, a court, to temporarily take someone's firearms until they can prove that they're safe and they won't do any harm to anyone. Okay? That's the correct way to do it. That way people get due process. So the argument with that back is always, well, what about Robert Card? He triggered every yellow flag rule that they should have enforced, and it didn't do any good. Well, that's because people didn't enforce laws that were there. That is incompetence. The law as written would have remedied that problem had the New York State Police contacted the police here and somebody did something about it. The problem with that was Robert Card was a National Guardsman, and he was also friends with a lot of police officers. He was a shooting instructor, and he knew a lot of police officers. He was friends with them all. Some police officers knew he had issues. They didn't do anything about it because, hey, he's a good guy. Robert Card, he's a good guy. Might be having some problems, but you know. So, I guess the logic I'm getting to here is, if you're just going to take guns away from one certain class of people with a mental disorder and not another one, then you can't do that. That's wrong. I'll give you an example. There's a very high percentage of former law enforcement who lived their whole life enforcing the law, didn't get any appreciation for it, had bad things said about them. They get old and they retire, and that's all they knew. That's all they knew how to do. They get depressed. Then they start getting post-traumatic stress disorder from things they had to do. You know, maybe they witnessed a little boy's face blown apart and it stuck with them, you know. Then they retire. Then they eat a bullet. Okay? Happens a lot. You can look up the statistics if you want. So we're going to say once you retire from law enforcement, you can no longer own firearms because you might be a danger to yourself or others. There are some former law enforcement who have flipped out, shot their family. You know, in different states it's happened. And what do you do with former military? These people go fight a war. We ask them to do terrible things. They come back, they have a hard time dealing with it. They're doing drugs, they're drinking, and they're suffering from PTSD. And either try to commit suicide or they shoot their wife. A couple of cases where a guy shot his wife and his kids. Then he shot himself. I mean, what do we do? Just free nilly-willy, just, well, this group's a high risk, we'll just take their guns. When does that stop? Does it stop when we have a Joe Biden that's president? And, well, we got these radical far-right extremists. They're violent and dangerous. Look what they did at the Capitol. They shouldn't be allowed to have guns. Guys, I'm telling you, this is not the way to do it, okay? We cannot turn into Democrats. You know, everybody hates the woke left. Cancel culture. You're going to get fired from your job if you don't let a trans person use your bathroom. You know, are we going to turn into that? Because under that description and that premise, you should support Democrats wanting to take everybody's guns away for public safety. That means the Democrats are right when you support stuff like that. So, I don't want to use the overused word slippery slope, but it's a fucking slippery slope. I mean, what the fuck are we doing, guys? What are we doing? Seriously. Are we turning into the Democratic Party because they're losing power? Is that what's happening? We should be governed by the Constitution, okay? The Constitution says U.S. citizens are guaranteed a right to bear arms. It doesn't say you have a right to bear arms unless you wear a fucking dress. Come on, guys. So, as much as you might hate it, that's where we're at. We're so polarized right now, we cannot turn into the enemy because of them. Today's shooting in Minnesota wasn't done by somebody because they were trans. The shooting in Minnesota was done today because that trans person was indoctrinated as a preteen into believing that they could be a woman. The family even had this guy's name changed to Robin from Robert. Okay? That is what caused the shooting today. Radical transgenderism. Transgender ideology. Or as Grandpa Trump says, or Papa Trump says, transgender for everybody is what Democrats push. This is a far left extremism problem. The guy who walked into the NFL offices in New York City recently was not a trans person. They were radicalized. The guy that assassinated a CEO on the sidewalk in New York was not a trans person. He's somebody that was radicalized by the left, who said it was okay to kill people because they were rich, powerful, and wealthy, and we had a difficult time with the insurance company, so the guy deserved it. That is how leftists think. Now, everybody that's a Republican I know of said regardless if the CEO was a freaking scumbag, which he probably was, greedy, it's not against the law in America. This is why far-left neo-Marxist extremism radicals hate capitalism, because they can say these guys are the bad guys because of what that insurance company did, and we should take their power from them and hold them responsible. That is neo-Marxism. We cannot go that route as Republicans. We can't. And if I offend you by saying that, I don't really care, because I know I'm right. The Constitution does not mean shit. You might as well be using it for toilet paper if you're going to say the way somebody dresses or the way they live, they can't get a gun. That's bullshit. That's not who we are, and we're not going to be that. Not as long as I'm breathing, I won't be. So that's my opinion on that, and I know it's not the popular one, but it's the right one, and I know it's the right one. I hate the left with so much of me. I hate the left that I can recognize this as when you hear the term woke right, the woke right. The people on the right don't even know what the woke right is. They're like, what's the woke right? I hate the woke left. We're not woke too. What are you talking about? Yeah, you're supporting red flag laws because you're woke. It's exactly what they do. Exactly the same thing. It's the same logic. They're angry that kids got shot, so they want to ban your guns. Okay? It's the same thing. There's literally no difference. Are they justified in that? Would children's lives be saved if they banned guns? Probably they would be. Somebody would use something else. They'd rent a U-Haul and run over kids on the playground, whatever. The point being, it would be more difficult to kill kids, wouldn't it? So does that entitle Democrats to take your guns? Fuck no, it doesn't. It's a guaranteed constitutional right, no different than the First Amendment, and just as important. Free speech, right to assemble. The kind of logic that Republicans are using right now with that is the same as, oh, well, they had peaceful protests in 2020, and they turned into riots where cities burned, and, well, we should ban protesting unless people get a license. They have to get a permit. Oh, well, Governor Hochul in New York, well, Republicans are radicals, they're dangerous, deny them their permits. That's what they do with gun licenses in New York. If you're a Republican, you get denied because you said something online. Do we really want to turn into them? The answer is no, we don't, okay? We don't. So just stop with that that's awful un-American bullshit. You can't do that. So we need to recognize what that shooting today was. Far left extremism. It's the same mentality that burned Tesla dealerships, bombed Tesla dealerships, assassinated the CEO of a healthcare insurance company, caused the guy to drive from Las Vegas to shoot up the NFL offices because he said he was hearing voices and stuff, and it had to do with when he played high school football and he got a concussion. So he blamed it on the NFL because he was nuts. We have a mental health problem in this country. Not a gun problem, not a trans problem. A lot of this is basically this trans person today was indoctrinated as a preteen, probably, because it's Minnesota. That's what they do. It was Minneapolis, even. The mayor of Minneapolis is Jacob Fry. Look him up. Jacob Fry is a guy that was on one knee in front of the gold casket of the black guy that was murdered by a police officer and caused nationwide rioting, George Floyd. So this Jacob Fry dropped on a knee. He had to take a knee, okay? You see that? It's propaganda. He was bawling his eyes out, physically convulsing in sheer shame for being white. I'm sorry, George. I'm sorry. It's because I'm white. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. This is the same guy out there today defending the trans community in Minneapolis, when the truth of the matter is people like him caused this. The trans person that did that shooting today was a victim. And I know you don't want to hear that either, but there's going to be 1,000 other ones like him. These people have been indoctrinated as 11, 12-year-olds, put on puberty blockers and God knows what else they were pumped into their head. So they've had their bodies and their minds mutilated by far left extremism, transgender ideology. So they're all fucked up from that. Democrats did that. The left did that. So technically this is not a trans issue. There are other leftists who aren't trans who are planning to do the same thing. They talk the same way. They talk about killing people. They do death threats. Universities have been getting swatted. So I'll be back in a second. I gotta make a pit stop. Sorry about that, guys. You gotta go, you gotta go. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, I hope I'm making some kind of sense to somebody. We have to be very careful. We have to set good examples. We cannot turn into them. Very important. I don't want to see that. I really don't. And yeah, I get passionate about it because I've been reading a lot of this online not from some friggin' guy online that's got 100 followers, just goes around running his mouth, but I'm talking about big accounts. Charlie fucking Kirk, for crying out loud, said something earlier that was like, man, can't be doing that. He's always supporting the Second Amendment, Constitution. He's against red flag laws, and then he's making posts like trans people should not have firearms. What the fuck are you guys doing? What are you doing? It's the same thing. That's promoting red flag laws. That's what red flag laws are. Taking guns away from people because they have mental issues. So if you're going to support one thing, you're going to have to support red flag laws, because that's what you're doing. Clear as day. There's literally no difference. The only thing that makes it right is because it's a Republican saying it? No. We can't do that shit. We can't. Unacceptable. Can't do that. That's wrong think. So, you know, you can't do whataboutisms. You can't, you know. You know, we had a guy shoot up a ball field that was a Bernie supporter. Remember that? Ball field of Republicans. Some guy shot up the whole fucking ball field. And people were like, well, we got a mental illness problem. Yeah, we do. We do. The guy was radicalized by Bernie's rhetoric, talking about how Republicans were going to have dead people on the street because they were going to take away their insurance. So this guy decided to do something about it. Radicalized. So the entire LGBT community is told Republicans are going to put you in concentration camps. They want you dead. They don't want you to exist. They want to erase trans people. And that's the rhetoric, which was actually taken from a CPAC event where a Republican said we need to eradicate transgender ideology. Not trans people, trans ideology, because it is radicalizing violence. And he's right. So I'm just saying we need to recognize what the problem is. You can't just say, well, somebody's trans and wear a dress. Well, you know, they shouldn't have a gun. Somebody goes to see a psychiatrist because they have depression and they own guns, they're not going to go seek help now because of a red flag law. Well, I ain't gonna fucking do that. They're gonna take my guns. They're gonna go to a court and take my guns. I didn't even say anything bad. I just said I was feeling suicidal. Well, that's a red flag law. That's what that is. It's the same logic people want to use with trans people, and we can't allow that. I'm sorry, we can't. Second Amendment is for everybody, okay? This person, whether you like it or not, bought these guns legally and did something crazy with them. That comes with the Second Amendment, okay? It's just the way it is. Carry a fucking gun and protect yourself. That's all I can say about it. There should have been armed people in that church or school, especially with all the hate towards Christians lately and Jews. This guy had anti-Jewish stuff written all over his guns. I watched the videos online that this guy was in. He did just like that guy that did the mass shooting in Australia that killed 98 people. Now, that was a big shooting. That was also the last time people had guns in New Zealand and Australia. They both banned the semi-automatic rifles and pistols. So that took everybody's gun rights away, right away, because a white supremacist who hated Muslims killed Muslims. Because somebody said, all of these white Christians are dangerous, we need to ban guns. You see how dangerous that thinking is to our rights here? We cannot give them any inch on that, and that includes we have to be good stewards of the Constitution, okay? We can't cave on that. And I know you probably don't like what I'm saying. It's too bad. Tough tits, okay? It's just the way it is. Can't fuck around with that shit. Can't. Just cannot do it. What is that? Oh, looks like is that? Can't read it because I don't have my glasses. Right here, somebody dropped a red envelope with a baseball on it that's got a bunch of keys that have tags on them. So I'm going to leave that right there. Hopefully whoever lost that comes back for him. Because to me that looks like something important to somebody that they don't want to lose, right? So anyway, this guy in Australia, trained in Australia, I should say, and he had some money. He flew to France, where he grew up, even though he wasn't French, okay? And he saw Muslim after Muslim migrant coming in and out of a supermarket and realized that France had been conquered and their entire society was now gone. So he decided to do something about it himself. And he decided he was just gonna kill Muslims. Hopefully set a good example for other people to do the same thing, was his thinking. It's obviously crazy. But I read his manifesto that he had online that got taken offline very quickly because they don't want you to read it. I'm glad we have a transparent government right now that allowed these videos to circulate along with the manifesto. So anyway, this guy in Australia went to France, and that was when he decided to do what he did. Good year and a half in advance. From everything I read, he was mentally sound, was not depressed, was not on psych medications. He just felt it was the thing he had to do to save Europe. Now, given what we see now, I mean, I understand his logic, but that's not the way to do it. It's just not, never. So, anyway, what does it have to do with the train shooter today in Minneapolis? Well, he left a manifesto as well. His manifesto, I actually had GPT translate it. And what that's good for is this this manifesto was written in fake Russian, okay? We got a helicopter flying to the hospital. It's Life Flight, which I've told you that means somebody's having a bad day. They need to medically be transported for help, immediate care. So anyway, this guy had a manifesto written in fake Russian. It looks like Russian, but it's not. And if you can see what he's doing, you can actually read it. But I was surprised that AI, ChatGPT, actually translated it. So basically, he did this because he hates Jews, hates white Christians, hates Catholics, all the people that the mayor of Minneapolis has been saying is the enemy. Pro-Palestine, Free Palestine is another of the items on his gun magazines and the rifle itself. He did the same thing the shooter that I was talking about in New Zealand that killed 98 Muslims did, as he wrote in white fonts all over his firearms and magazines, his thoughts, his sayings. One of 2 times on his stuff he had written "Kill Donald Trump." That was one of the couple of the things he said. He wrote it in white paint on his AR rifle. He had a video he released on YouTube. He had 5 videos on YouTube. I watched all of them before they were taken down by the FBI. And this guy in the videos talking about what he's going to do tomorrow, and he's talking to himself on the video, And you can hear him having conversations with like 3 other people that aren't there. And he's not like talking to somebody in the room. He's talking to himself, or one of his selves. So this guy was clearly some kind of, he was in some kind of psychosis. He was mesmerized with, and basically was holding conversations with 3 other people in his own head. Okay, so I don't know if that's multiple personalities, classic schizophrenia perhaps, hearing voices. And he would say what one voice was saying, and then another voice would sound very upset. I don't want to do this. I can't do this anymore. I have to do something tomorrow. I have to kill. I have to. And then the other voice starts talking to him, and he just. And then another one comes in. He's all calm. Yeah, this is bands I like. This is oh, this right here. This is a list of bands I like. It's the viewpoint of him recording while he's flipping his manifesto pages. So you get to read each page. He wanted to upload every page so people knew why he did this. So basically, I'll go right up to the summary, okay? He did this because he hates white supremacy, the far right. He hates Trump. He had a rainbow flag on his manifesto that had an assault rifle in it. That militant kind of far left extremist gender ideology, where you see a lot of these videos online of these trans people with assault rifles saying that they're going to fight for their rights. They're going to fight you, okay? Posting these guns. If a Republican did that, what would happen? Oh, I hate Democrats so much, and then they rack around in the chamber. You know, we'll do something about it. I mean, people can't talk like that on the internet, okay? They just can't. So the left, because they run these social media outlets, don't punish these people. So this is all part of that problem. That's why I say it's a far left extremism problem. They've allowed it to fester for the last 10, 15 years, especially. And now these young people that were 11, 12 years old have grown up now, and they realize that that didn't fix their problems, and now they're fucking angry about it. So, you know, I've seen some people online talk about how the left is getting ready to explode any day now. I think bad things are going to happen to a lot of different places. I think this is the tip of the iceberg. I think a lot of these people have been mutilated both mentally and physically, either through castration or they've had their breasts removed, and now they're angry and upset because at the time people told them that they trusted, you know, and they're just going to blame Whitey for all their problems. Christians. And that's what that shooting today was. He specifically in his manifesto wanted to kill Catholic kids because they're going to grow up to be a cancer on society, and he was doing society a favor. That was his mentality today, and what I read in his manifesto, okay? So there was nothing in there about trans rights, equality. This had nothing to do with this person being trans. This had to do with far left radical ideologies, okay? These people have been radicalized. I call them trans-tifa, okay? Like Antifa, but they're Trantifa. Some of these people were ones that attacked ICE officers, and they're still doing it. Some of these people who proclaim to be trans are doing violent things, hurting people. So this is a big systemic problem. This is a lot bigger than simply saying, oh, it's a trans problem. Trans people shouldn't have guns. There's a lot more to this, I guess is my point. I'm probably beating a dead horse to death at this point, but you know, that's what my walks are for, okay? We had something happen bad today, and you know, I want to talk about that. Maybe somebody will watch this and it'll make sense to them. Maybe they'll watch this and say, you know what, J.Beau, you're a fucking asshole. You're a loser. How can you possibly say that this, that, and... Well, you're entitled to that opinion. I'm not here to curry mental favor from people and be popular. I'm here to say what's on my mind, good, bad, or indifferent. I know right from wrong, and I know that kind of rhetoric is wrong. That's all I'm saying. Now, this is the excuse Democrats use to have red flag laws, especially in a divorce. I don't know how many times I've talked about it on a walk. Guy and girl, they're married. It graduates from, while they're divorcing, from, no, that record album's mine, it's not yours, I bought that, and they have a fight over it. And that graduates into, I'm going to take your fucking kids from you. I'm going to call your job and get you fired. I'm going to call the cops, and I'm going to say you're dangerous with firearms. They're going to come take your fucking guns. Huh? So fuck you, buddy, you know? That kind of divorce, right? That's the danger with red flag laws, because with the red flag law, you have a legal spouse, a woman, saying the guy's dangerous, and he's not. Okay, let's just get that out there right now. He's not, okay? He's in a tough spot dealing with, you know, maybe his wife's a fucking psycho and that's why he's getting a divorce. And she's showing him why. So, if we have red flag laws, then a cop can show up at your house, okay? And he doesn't need a warrant. On the police officer's judgment, he can take your firearms, and then you get a court date, 30 days. Then you got to show up to court and explain. It'll be her word against yours, in front of a liberal judge who hates fucking white middle-aged men and is going to side with the woman. Do you really want that? I don't. So, the yellow flag law is different. They have to go to a court first with evidence, with a professional medical, psychological professional. And they have to show the judge that you're a danger. And the cop can say, yeah, I think this guy might be. I got 20 years on the force. I remember 10 years ago there was a case very similar to this, and you know, the guy ended up coming out and he shot his entire family. I don't know, I hate to do it, but geez, I don't know, Judge, this guy might be dangerous. That's what we want, because then it's temporarily have your firearms taken. Now you get due process. Now you get a court date. You can go to court and get your firearms back. Say, well, Your Honor, you know, we had an argument. I shouted a few times. Police came. You know, got a little overheated. I usually don't talk like that. You know, swearing that under oath. You can have a witness come in, vouch for you, and say, okay, well, 60 days from now, just to play it safe, you can get your firearms back. By then, the danger is past. And tap, tap, tap. That's my judgment. Guy got due process. Red flag law, it's, you know, you're fucked. You're completely fucked. You got no way to fight it. And it just doesn't sit right with me that you can just say, you know, somebody's trans, you can't have a gun. And I start thinking about how many Republicans I've heard saying, oh, geez, you know, inner city violence, it's always the same people. You know what I mean. It's always the same people. Well, with that kind of logic, you say, well, those people should not have firearms. I think we should make it illegal for those people. So that was my Paul Harrell. Probably not a good one, but that's how he would make his points, and I know I'm right on that. You can't take any demographic, any skin color, any sexuality, any religion. I mean, as much as I hate these Free Palestine people protesting all over the place because they're fucking lunatics lost in space, I can't say, well, they're going to emulate Hamas, so we should take their guns away. You can't do that. You just cannot do that. You can't do that. It just, it's just, that's like communism running the hair on my neck the wrong way. Yeah, you know, can't do that. So, you know, I was at that protest at the Capitol in Augusta. I wasn't carrying a firearm. At that time, I was not carrying a firearm. Even though it was legal to do so, constitutional carry, I just didn't carry one. I didn't think I had to. Then I got in an argument that I told you guys about on here before with that liberal lunatic outside the Capitol. You got Capitol Police all over the place, okay? You have constitutional carry in Maine, and this freaking liberal was getting into it, some woman's face, shouting at her, being really threatening and menacing to her. So I did what you should do and get in between him and the woman and say, well, if you're going to yell at somebody, yell at me, okay? I'm 1.5 feet taller than you. You know, come on, let's hear it. And I had my bullhorn. So I was giving him what for with my bullhorn, like 6 inches from his face, telling him what I thought of liberals, without swearing, without threatening, without making any threats. A couple of times while I was talking, and I've told you guys about this before, he would lean over. He'd lean over in his bag that he had on top of his backpack. His bag was sitting on top, and his lady was with him. Every once in a while, he'd stop and have a look on his face like he's angry, and he'd reach in the bag. Then his girlfriend or his wife, whatever, no. Well, you know, call me fucking stupid at the time. I should have read that play. He had a fucking gun in his bag, pointed at my face. That's what he had, okay? So that's when 2020 was going on with all the Black Lives Matter shit. I was there to protest a lockdown because of COVID, okay? People were going out of business, and somebody had to say something. There was about 3,000 people there, Republicans. It was a good protest. But this guy did that to me 3 times. You know, stupid fucking me, I could have got shot in the face. Didn't even read the play. I was behind the times on that. I was like, you know, we're not there yet. We're not there as a country yet to have shit like that happen. Well, we've seen everything that happened through 2020, and fucking apparently we were there, weren't we? Well, I started carrying a firearm not long after that. So I actually went and bought a shotgun during the lockdown just to see if I still had my rights to buy one, because the governor wanted to close all the gun stores. You know, I'm sitting there in the kitchen, there's no traffic outside. We were just told to stay in our homes. Like, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this, right? And then I got that email from the police chief, which was a city email. It wasn't personal, it wasn't directed directly towards me. But it said, due to people not complying with essential travel, we're going to start enforcing it. We're going to issue a warning at first. Verbal warning. And an officer is going to explain to you on something they have written down already on why you need to comply with the governor's essential order. of no traveling, which I had just broken going to Augusta to protest more than once. I went several times. I'm like, you know, fuck you, I ain't doing that. Go fuck yourself. United States of America, you don't like it? Go fuck yourself. Kiss my ass. So, I ended up calling the police chief after I got that letter explaining that. Didn't answer. I got redirected to an answering machine. That's it. I fucking let him have it. Fucking motherfucker, you who the fuck do you think you are? Just like that. Same language. United States of America, you're gonna arrest me because I want to go up the road and smell a fucking rose bush? Fuck you, motherfucker. And you know, 2020, people were tense. Very tense. I got a couple of videos on my profile from Kennedy Park during the Black Lives Matter protest, where I was absolutely incensed and fucking pissed that they spray painted Black Lives Matter on the fucking Civil War monument where these fucking people died to free slaves. And these fuckers are gonna put shit on the statues and deface them? What the fuck? They threw red paint all over the Civil War statue? Well, started making phone calls. I called up the city, had a long conversation with the lieutenant, police lieutenant. And I told him, and this is exactly what I told him, not exaggerating. I said, if I got to put 20 civilians together and we have to arm ourselves and go guard public property in the park, and you know we have a legal right to do that, I told them, in Maine. I looked it up. We can defend anything that was paid for with tax dollars from theft, rioting, and things like that. Plus you have a legal right in Maine, constitutional carry, to walk around with an assault rifle, which nobody does because that would be crazy, wouldn't it? Given the hysteria with mass shootings. But there are people, you can look at videos on YouTube in Portland, Maine, where this guy was walking around with an assault rifle just to prove the cops wrong that they couldn't make him stop doing it. And he won his argument because it is legal. So anyway, it's not smart, it's not advised. You know, a lot of people might take things into their own hands. Oh shit, it's a guy with a rifle, and just start shooting at you. Not advised today, okay? This was 10, 15 years ago. But the laws haven't changed, is my point. So anyway, I talked with this lieutenant. And by the way, I got a couple of videos on my politics channel playlist on my profile. If you want to watch the videos where I'm talking about it. And in 2020, I shot video of the statue that had been defaced. And I was angry because a city councilwoman who was Somali and a white liberal female city councilwoman were out there with a bullhorn telling all these people, not in my video I have, but this is what they did and why the statue got defaced, which is what pissed me off, is they told these people that you were entitled. You're entitled to be angry and to lash out. So the city councilwoman is out there speaking, okay? And they're spray painting the statue while she is standing there, and she's encouraging them to do it. And that was it. I called the fucking mayor's office. I called the police. Talked with this lieutenant. I said, I want to know why nobody's cleaning this up. Why is nobody cleaning this? Are they afraid they're going to offend the rioters? Are we caving into them now? And I said, why don't you guys do your job? It's against the law, okay? It's graffiti. It's defacing a monument, whatever you want to call it. I said, if I did that, I would get arrested. If I put a pro-white symbol on there or something, I would get arrested for a hate crime charged with graffiti, vandalism. That would be the charge. Now, you can get a lot of time in jail for vandalism in Maine. Nobody did anything about these people. Fucking pissed me off. It pissed me off. So I made a big fucking snake about it. To the point where the head of the public works called me and said, we're hiring a contractor in Sabatis. They're going to come remove the paint off the statue. Thank you very much for calling us. We're sorry it offended you, sir. And that's how you do it, okay? And they came and cleaned it up. Can't just leave that shit there because people are afraid to remove it. Oh, it might upset some rioters. Oh! God forbid we upset some fucking liberal rioters, right? Jeez, it was like that first July 4th in 2020. They canceled the Liberty Festival in Lewiston, Auburn because of COVID. COVID and Black Lives Matter rioting. It'd be best not to have it. Well, my brother Louis, my sister-in-law, and me, and about a dozen other people, went and stood on the corner at the Memorial Bridge. I don't know what the fuck they call it now. I've always called it the Memorial Bridge. The one that goes from Main Street to Auburn. Longley Bridge. I don't know what the fuck they call it now. Doesn't matter. They keep changing the names because, you know, they want to change all of society. It's what they do. So, anyway, I was down there with an American flag and a bullhorn. People would stop at the red light, and I would make jokes. I was saying things like, well, they canceled the fireworks and the Liberty Festival. I'm sorry, but I'm all you have. Hope you have a smile on your face. God bless America. That's all I was doing. People would laugh and drive off and say, all right, thumbs up, toot the horn, whatever. Now, I don't know, maybe 4 carloads of young people, around 20 years old, every single fucking one of them. Black Lives Matter, you fucking racist. Black Lives Matter. Because I had a USA flag. So, because these people were indoctrinated by far left extremism, which is the point I'm getting to in a long roundabout way, I don't think I need to explain it, is they were radicalized into hating the US flag, okay? Because it means it's a racist symbol. Because of fuck Trump, okay? So, this is what these guys do. They radicalize these young people to hate the flag, hate America, hate capitalism, hate white people, hate Christians, hate Jews. They hate everybody, including themselves. But rather than hating themselves, preoccupies their mind to hate other people. Most of these organizers that do that, you know, like those ones today talking about how guns should be banned because we had another shooting. The same mayor in Minneapolis that I was just complaining about earlier was talking, and he was saying, enough with the thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. In other words, you fucking Christian Catholics who just got shot, you're fucking stupid people. That's why you got shot. That's basically what the mayor was saying. I hate this fucking guy. I mean, Jesus. He promotes all that trans shit. He's one that made comments saying he understood why that CEO in New York got assassinated. He wouldn't say, oh, it was wrong to do that. And he wouldn't say it was right to do that. Asked if they were right to do that, he would just say, well, a lot of these corporations are very greedy, and you can understand why people would get angry. Instead of saying, no, we can never do anything like that or condone anything like that. That's the guy that's the mayor of Minneapolis. Jacob Frey, okay? F-R-E-Y. Look him up. he is a radical leftist, funded by George Soros, should add. No shocker. Which reminds me, Trump suggested today that George Soros should be arrested, and his son, for promoting domestic terrorism in the United States, because he wouldn't release why. It's blatantly obvious. George Soros is known to be someone that donates money to these professional protesters that cause all these problems, like attacking ICE in Los Angeles, for example, burning Tesla dealerships. They're investigating that, and it's coming up George Soros and his son were funding that. One of the donors to a non-profit, okay? Problem with that is, it's not illegal to donate to non-profits. What the non-profit does with it, it's out of your control after you donate the money. And that's how George Soros has always gotten away with it. So they need to find some kind of RICO conspiracy and just ban George Soros's money from anyone that is a US citizen. That would eliminate him from funding all these district attorneys like Letitia James, who let criminals out. Part of their plan is they let criminals out on purpose, okay, to cause problems. They want society to decay and break down. Cashless bail, that's another thing promoted by people funded by George Soros. So, you know, and this George Soros character, I've told you about him. He was a child in a concentration camp. He's fucking Jewish, okay? He hates Israel, he hates Jews. He's openly said it, okay? He stayed alive in the concentration camps by ratting out fellow Jews. And he was one of the people that was working gas chambers and selecting who would go and who wouldn't. He was a rat, okay? And on the 60 Minutes interview he did in the 80s, okay, you can research this, go back, it's available to watch. He said he did what he had to do to survive and he doesn't regret it. Not something like, I did what I had to do to survive. I'm very sorry about that. I feel tremendously guilty. It was crazy times, and you don't know what you're going to do until you do something in that situation. You don't know what you're going to do. Somebody puts a gun to your head and they're going to kill you, and you beg for your life, and, you know, you sell out the people that you're there with. He could have said something like that, you know. I'm not saying that's what happened to him or his experience. I'm just saying he didn't try to say anything like that. Yeah, I did that. I don't regret it. I'm alive, aren't I? And now I'm a multi-billionaire and I'm funding all this change in the world. So this guy, I think, went through a lot when he was young, and I think it fucked him up. Now, you remember that serial killer, that Russian one, Chikatilo? Remember him? 70s into the 80s, communist Russia. Really good movie was made about it with Sean Connery and another guy that was a really good actor in it. I should check that out. But this Chikatilo guy was abducting women at train stations, things like that, conning children out into the woods, murdering them. And he would do vile things, okay, with the body. I'm not going to go into detail on here, but it's not good. Okay, it's not good. And one of the things he would do is he would gouge their eyes out. And they had to bring in an experienced detective from outside the country who was not communist, because they were so stumped on this case, they couldn't figure it out. And they wanted to bring in somebody that knew what he was doing. But he's from a free country, so it caused a lot of other problems. He had to be quiet, secretive. Really good movie. So, Chikatilo, the reason why I bring this up and comparing him with George Soros, and why I think George Soros is from his experiences, is when Stalingrad and Leningrad were sealed off and surrounded by Nazis, the Nazis decided the best thing they could do, they were going to starve all of these Russians to death. I'm going to choke them off, we'll just let them die, and then we'll come in there and just take it. Because these Russians will fight to the last fucking tooth and nail, these fucking crazy fuckers. So, what happened was people died, starved to death. And people resorted to cannibalism. Chikatilo was one of those people that resorted to cannibalism. And one of his jobs he had was loading dead bodies to be disposed in open graves where they had died of starvation. So that was his job. And he was young. It fucked him up. It fucked him up because not only was he throwing these dead people into the pits, but he was selecting certain ones that had good meat on them. They cooked them and ate them. It fucked him up. As that would, wouldn't it? So anyway, this guy, because it fucked him up, he turned into a serial killer. Killed a lot of women, and he was a chronic masturbator to the point where he would make himself bleed several times a day. It was just mentally, he needed to kill these women to satisfy that. That's the way he saw it, because his trauma came from dead people. So I think George Soros is very upset with society, and he wants to change it because it led to the war that he had to go through, that he was mentally scarred with. I really think it's something like that. So he's a fucking lunatic. So anyway, oh, kind of an entertaining walk. We're coming to the end of it already, and we talked about a lot tonight. But you know, this radical far left extremism is fucking dangerous. I don't have to mention Ho Chi Minh, Chairman Mao. I don't have to mention the North Korean Kim Jong-un's father, who was worshipped like a deity. And I had read that he liked to be massaged by young men sexually. Kim Jong-un's father. They have no sense like that, like other countries do, because there's no religion there. There's nothing. It's whatever the state says. So anyway, oh, what a crazy talk tonight, huh? Fucking crazy. Times are crazy, man. Anyway, I managed to get a good sweat going, even though it's about 52 degrees right now. It's definitely the coolest night we've had. So that's good though. Those make for good walks. You're not sweating to death from it being humid. We gotta cross over here. So anyways, far left radical extremism, very dangerous. Start thinking of the Bolsheviks in Russia in the 1920s, and which led to communist Russia. Look what that did to the world, and World War II. They partnered with Hitler at first, though Hitler turned on him. Hitler hated the fucking communist. He hated Marxists with a passion. I watched a Hitler speech recently on YouTube. It was an educational channel. And they repaired a speech he gave from 1933 to the workers. He was in a factory and he gave a speech. Most of the speech was audible. It's in German. I had to put the subtitles on. But surprisingly, you know, you listen to a speech by Hitler, you're expecting, you know, kill the Jews and all this crazy shit, right? No, he sounded perfectly fucking sane. He actually had good policies. He hated Marxists, he hated communists. Far left extremism was horrible. We need to get rid of that out of Germany. Socialism is this and that. And at the same time, he was imposing socialist policies. Fucking crazy, right? So, and he took advantage of people not having money, not having a job, and being desperate. So they supported him because they got jobs, made money, and they could buy a house. Things were great until they weren't. Anyway, the point is you watch those old speeches like that. There's another one I saw once with a communist leader in the 1950s. I forget what country, Cambodia, I think. This guy was giving a speech, and you know, the Khmer Rouge, them fuckers, oh my god, they killed 3.5 million people. Fucking crazy. Brutal ways too, just fucking nasty. And so this guy was giving a speech, and he sounded like a fucking communist lunatic. So I guess what I'm saying is you know, that's why the Democrats are so dangerous. Now, I saw something today that raised the hair on my neck, because it was Ilhan Omar, the far-left extremist nutbag. She scared me today after this shooting, which is in her district, by the way. Okay, keep that in mind. She gave some words. Guess what she did? That scared the fuck out of me. She sounded normal. She fucking sounded normal. What I mean by that is, she said, this is a terrible tragedy that happened. My heart is with the families. We need to do what we can. She said, and she said this too, okay? You've probably seen the clip, I hope. Even the White House, she said, has been supportive, and that's really nice, she said. So all of a sudden, Donald fucking Trump did something good. What? What the fuck is that? First thing I think of is, what the fuck are they up to? Is this the new Democrat strategy? To play moderate to win midterms next year? To try to work with Republicans? Because if they do that, they know that's their only chance they'll win anything. Is to get rid of the woke radical bullshit. Even though they'll still be woke and radical, they're just not going to talk about it. All of a sudden, nobody that's a Democrat is talking about anything trans. Nothing. Because it's a political loser. So, food for thought, okay? That really caught my attention today. One of the craziest far-left people sounded fucking sane today with a mass shooting in her fucking district. Okay? She didn't go on an anti-gun rant like the mayor did. She didn't make any comments like that. She just said, and this is what she said, we'll deal with the causes of this and what led to it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it, she said, and we'll figure out what happened and find a solution. The White House has been very helpful. What the fuck does that mean? Did we end up on another planet today? I don't know about. What the fuck is that all about? Ilhan Omar, the fucking Somali nut that married her fucking brother so she could become a citizen. That one. Holy shit. What the fuck is going on? Sorry I'm so animated tonight, but this stuff is really getting crazy. I mean, this is getting fucking crazy, folks. This is Charles Manson eating Fruit Loops on your fucking front porch in the morning crazy. It don't get no crazier than that, okay? Wow. Whew. Holy shit. The Democrats now are going to try to work with Trump to show that they are moderates and deserve voters' votes. Like, we're not the problem. Trump's the problem. That's the only thing they haven't tried yet. Right now, Trump writes an executive order saying you shouldn't rape your fucking dog. Every Democrat's like, oh, the fucking king, he said that. He can't do that. People want to rape their fucking dog, they can. Fuck Trump. Now they're talking this way? Wow. Whew. Think about it, man. Something's going on with the party right now, Democrats. I think they're going to try to steal midterms by pretending to be moderates. you're going to hear things like, we need to ban guns. And you're not going to hear the same rhetoric like, these fucking Republicans, they're responsible for people dying. They have blood on their hands. They have bloody fangs in their fucking faces. This is all their fault. They're not going to talk like that now. They're going to say, we understand citizens have gun rights, but we need to come somewhere in the middle and pass something that will help everybody. They're starting to talk like that. And that's why she scared the fuck out of me today, because I know that's going to resonate with some people in the country. I don't know if it'll be enough to make a difference for them, but they're going to let Mamdani in New York sound like a socialist leftist lunatic, and they're not going to talk about him. That's what they're going to do. They're going to say, well, that's New York. The voters voted for him. That's what they're going to say. And they'll say something like, Chicago's different, Los Angeles is a different, you know. So they're going to start playing those games. So what's really important right now is Republicans to unify, okay? Bond, like fucking glue, okay? We need to make sure we get out and vote at midterms next year. This is going to be very important, and Republicans traditionally don't get off their fucking asses in off-year elections. They basically give the House to Democrats. A Republican that stays home elects Democrats. And I'm going to get on your ass from now until next midterms, whether you like it or not. You're going to get sick of hearing it. You don't want to watch it, don't watch it. But I'm telling you right now, you got to tell people at work, you got to drag people, absentee ballots, whatever you got to fucking do. Crawl, limp, beg for a ride, whatever the fuck it is you got to do, you got to vote, okay? So anyways, that's going to conclude this walk. I hope you enjoyed the talk tonight. It was very interesting, I think. And God bless you and the country. God bless Donald Trump and America. And stick up for your fucking gun rights to everyone, no matter what, okay? And we got to stick up for gun rights even if we don't agree with the people getting those guns, okay? If they haven't broken any laws, can't take their guns just because they are what they are. It's really that simple. So, see you guys on the next walk, my friends. Thanks for walking with J.Beau. See you soon. Bye-bye now. Stay safe.